to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I don't know why I'm still like sweaty and gross and
Same.
why does that happen? Like
When we take a
biologically, how
shower.
do you think? Like when you take a shower and it's just like ew. Even
Depends on
afterwards.
how like hot the shower is, I think.
Is it a heat thing?
I think so. Yeah,
What a weird way to start the episode.
it is.
Like it just like I don't know. But we're in. It's a weird. I don't know. We're kind of battling today, guys.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. And-
Battling the horrific ailment of being a Columbus Blue Jackets fan.
It's another like weirdly exhausting morning for us. And
I think we have a name for this episode.
yeah, because I have a tentative name, but I don't.
I have
think it's-
one.
Okay.
I have one. And do you know what it
Okay.
is, Jake?
What is it?
One. That is the name of this episode.
Just one.
One. Because you
Okay.
scored one goddamn goal with Florida.
On Tampa.
One.
On
No,
Brian
in the
Elliott.
state of Florida.
Oh, in the state of Florida.
In the state of Florida, you got shut out by the Panthers, and then you scored one goal against the Lightning. You scored one
Jesus.
in Florida.
Okay, we got to get to a little bit of positivity to start this thing.
Do we?
I think we do. Kepi Keepers by DraftKings. So you guys know the drill. Ohio, everybody, if you haven't signed up yet, please do and use our promo code. The hockey season's in full swing. We're obviously having the time of it. Everybody else, like there's other storylines where like, there's the tanking race
Mm-hmm.
and what have you. It's so clearly a mishmash of haves and have-nots this season.
Yes.
And betting's a good way to figure that out. Like figure out the positives in your negatives. So you sign up with an official betting partner of the NHL, DraftKings Sportsbook. You bet $5 pregame on any NHL team to win, and you get $150 in free bets if they do, combining your bets with the same game parlays. And speaking of positives, at least for us, Johnny's still doing his thing, which
Yes.
is the big one.
Here's the thing that's frustrating about this Kepi Keeper. I have what it is.
Well,
and-
let's finish this read really quick.
Yeah.
So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win the game. Get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with the code THPN. Please do that. Like sign up with the code. It helps us out on the show, on the network, everything.
Right.
I signed up with THPN. Did you?
I have not yet. But
You have not yet?
I certainly will soon when January 1st comes around.
Yeah, sign up ahead of time. Why
Yeah,
not?
Just to get the extra money out of it.
Yeah. So okay. I batted first last time, right?
Okay.
I think so. So
So-
you go ahead and go.
So I'm going to give it to Cole Sillinger, who
Good pick.
his expected goals for in the game was phenomenal.
Uh-huh.
By far the best. That line was by far the best out of any line in
The
the
kids
game in
looked
Tampa.
great.
Yes. And this is what's frustrating as hell for me.
Mm.
Marchenko scores the goal, and good for him. Good shot.
Cole's
right?
pass was just okay.
Phenomenal.
That was brilliant.
Phenomenal pass. And it was by far the best line, as we noted, right?
Yes.
And this is where what's supposed to be a positive turns into a negative, Jake.
Uh-huh.
Why on earth did they only play 11 minutes? They were your best line. And I get a quote here from Brad Larsen after the game. They started to
Uh-huh.
play, and they played very well.
Yeah.
It was easy to keep putting them out. But you didn't keep putting them out. You gave them 11 minutes. What are you talking about? You put them out there. No, you didn't. You didn't put them out at all.
And that's what's frustrating. And we can talk about Brad. We're going to have a big dialogue about Jarmo and John Davidson later, but Brad's going to be a part of this as well.
Yeah.
Because he is strangely frustrating in his deployment tactics.
Yes, his deployment tactics suck.
But Cole, good on Cole. He hasn't gotten a whole lot of love this year, and it's about time he, got something done, right?
Right.
Because we know sophomore slumps happen, and but
did we not call this though?
I think we did.
It's a sophomore slump. He's only 19 years old. Like it was bound to happen, but I think a lot of it has to do with how they utilize him.
Yeah.
They don't utilize him the right way.
He's a third liner right now. That's not what he should be, right?
They're not giving him the proper ice time. They're not giving him one second, sorry. Jesus. He doesn't deploy him right. He doesn't give them the right matchups. He doesn't give them enough ice time. He doesn't put them with the right players. It's frustrating.
And the kids are fun. Don't get me wrong. Having him Marchenko, Sillinger, Johnson line is super fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what the Rangers did with, Laffy and Kako and Hedel last year.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, that can only do so much.
One of their best lines, right?
Right.
And a very effective line for them. I like that they finally put this line together since they've called Marchenko up. I think it fits well together.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them get more time and more offensive zone starts, better matchups, etc.
Yes. Cole deserves his kudos. So good pick on that. I'm gonna go with Terry. I'm gonna go with Daniil Tarasov because again, he looks like the best goalie we have.
Yeah, his numbers weren't eye-popping in the game against Tampa, but he gave him a shot.
Shots he gave him a shot. 25 saves. And really the only one that I will criticize him over, the one that I think he should have had that he didn't get was Hagel's actual goal.
Yeah.
Because Hagel scores an empty netter and
yeah, he had two. Yeah, as you mentioned, one of them was an empty netter. The third goal that gave Tampa a 3-1 lead. Yeah. I get where you're coming from there.
That one I'll give him some flack for, but everything else he looked great.
Yeah, he kept a lifeless team in a game they had no business being in.
Yes. And again, how many times can we rehash this point? Looks like the best of the three right now, and you got to make a decision between 70 and 90.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do?
And you know what the funny thing is, Jake? There's a chance that it's neither for next year.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's Kepi Keepers by DraftKings. Cole Sillinger, good on Cole. He deserves a little bit more love.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniil Tarasov, we know what Terry can do. Tara. It's funny how we can never agree on a nickname for the guy, but
yeah,
I don't know. He's a good kid, and you said
nobody's
it last
calling
show,
him Neil.
Daniil. Daniil. Tampa game, another one of those wash games.
I mean, let's be real. We both went into Florida thinking they're probably going to get swept, right?
Yeah.
But
it's weird because they usually do put up a fight against the Panthers.
Yes.
They won the last game against the Panthers. I was there.
Yeah, and Tarasov was in it for that one too. But here's the thing, Jake, okay? And this is what I'm going to keep coming back to. We expected them to get swept, okay?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
However, I expected more than one.
Mm-hmm. That was
and let's be fair here and talk about who you faced. Panthers and Lightning are good teams, but
that was Bobrovsky's first shutout against Columbus.
You faced Bobrovsky, who's in the midst of a not so great season, and you faced Brian Elliott.
Brian Elliott, dude. Against Brian
had
Elliott.
a fantastic career. Very, very good career. And
But
he's
38
a good
years
backup.
old.
38 years old. He's a backup at this point. He's a fine backup at that. You scored 1 goal. Stymied by Brian Elliott and Sergei Bobrovsky.
And we know who Bob is, obviously. He was our guy for a very, very long time.
But he's not that guy anymore. He's not like a bad goalie. He's just not that guy anymore. So, like, again, because of that, you would expect more than 1.
Yes. Especially coming from your top players.
The top players didn't do anything. Love Johnny, and I'm not going to blame him for 2 losses in Florida.
No, I'm not going to blame Patrick. I'm not going to blame
Patrick either. But the fact of the matter is those guys did nothing for you in those games. They didn't put up any offense.
Exactly. And so let's address this. They've split Johnny and Patty up over the last few games.
Which I agree with. Wholeheartedly, I agree with that decision.
It's been 13, 38, 14, and then 59,
been,
96, and 29.
And we just talked about how the kid line's been very effective. They've been effective the last few games ever since they brought Marchenko up. But your most effective line this season in terms of expected goals has been that top line of Johnny, Boone, and Gus.
Yes.
And then your second line, which has also been effective just these last few games.
And good on Jack for getting his cookies recently, too.
Jack is working with Patrick Laine well. And that's big. That's what
the Winnipeg connection, right?
Yes. Keep them together if this is what works for you, right?
And Chinny looks good with them.
And then obviously the fourth line has been the fourth line really all year long, so that's not really going to change. It's
no, we know what those guys can do, and they do it very, very well.
They're physical.
Now,
I
will say,
rely on them late. It is what it
Hootie drew in. Which game was it? Was it Florida or was it Tampa? Because I think it was Tampa. Robbie got sick.
I think he's coming out of the lineup now.
Is it going to be no? Because projected Robbie's back today.
Yes, that's what. Boston. Yeah, so,
right, so
Hootie's out, Robbie's in.
Okay. I don't know what you do, man. These are 2 really good teams in Florida. We know what they can do.
Yeah.
Tampa's a cup contender.
Florida Panthers their record's deceiving because they outchance teams like crazy. They play very well.
The last time we played them, they had 50 shots against us.
They're in terms of goals scored above expected, they're worse than the league. They are just absolutely snake bitten as a team right now.
They're just getting stymied. Yeah.
Which could make them very dangerous heading into the playoff if they could start scoring on those chances. But for the time being, this is what they are. They're a good team that's struggling to score, and they had no problem putting up 4 goals on you, which is something that they've struggled to do this year.
Yeah. Matt Tkachuk is fitting very, very well in Florida.
He's an animal. Absolute animal.
It's crazy to watch him. And
it's crazy.
Because he's playing mostly with Bennett, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what's crazy that happened in the Florida game that I was stunned by was Barkov scored, and then immediately after it shows up on the score, and I'm like, he's only got 6 goals this year now.
I know.
I was stunned by that. That should tell you everything you need to know about this Panthers team and how tough it's been for them to buy goals.
Yeah.
And they had no issue. They walked all over you for 60 minutes.
And then Tampa, we know what Tampa does. They're a Stanley Cup contender through and through. Like, there's no way in hell that we were going into that game expecting anything. They've stomped on us ever since we swept them in 2019. But it's Brian Elliott.
Yeah. A 38-year-old Brian Elliott who doesn't play a ton. And he's fine, but he's 38 years old. Get him moving.
Yeah.
Move the puck a little bit here, guys.
Seriously, cross crease all you want. Like, pull the typical Chell move, right?
Yeah, right.
Like,
what was the one goal
works all the time?
Whole cylinder enters in, makes a great pass from the right side all the way across the left. Brian Elliott has to move across and get set. and Marchenko beats him. He was able to get set, but that movement to get across to get square to the shooter, Marchenko was able to get a little bit of time and space.
Yep.
And he picks a spot and he scores. It doesn't always have to be these cross crease one-timers or backdoor tap-ins and stuff like that. Just get them moving.
Yes.
And
Make
force
them
them to
squirrely.
reset. And they just didn't generate those chances outside of that kid line. And like I said, I don't want to go out here blaming Boone, Johnny, Patrick, whatever for these losses. They're not the reason we lost this game. You gave up 4
and I
goals to
will
the
say
Panthers. You lost 4-1 to the Lightning, but they didn't generate the chances that we were expecting them to generate.
The thing about the Tampa game that looked the most crisp to me was physicality.
Yeah.
Like, Goody had a really great hit on, I want to say it was Alex Killorn.
Yeah. He brings, that physical element to the game. I thought he played well in Tampa. I'll give Erica Branson that. The good games for Erica Branson have been few far in between, but I thought he played well against Tampa.
But it's like I said, we dog on that deal, and we're going to talk about the management in a minute. He does provide something that this team needs.
And we said that at the time. Like, remember when he first signed, I was like, I didn't mind it that we brought him in. It was the deal that I was upset about.
Yeah.
I don't hate the player and what he does. If you put him in an effective role, I think he can do things for you. But
right,
you're paying him as a top 4 defenseman. He's not a top 4 defenseman. And he's a liability in some facets of the game that you were deploying him in, that you're relying on him in. And that makes me question your management.
And the only goal I'll blame Tarasov for, because he was way too far out of his crease.
Yeah.
He wasn't exactly square to the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hagel shot slips by 5-hole when he should have been further back.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's the only goal I'm going to really blame on Terry.
He made a really absurd save on Kucherov in the first.
Oh, yeah, he did. It was great.
That was a wild save.
He had a couple of really good ones against Pointer, too, other than the goal. But it's just like, I don't know what else to say other than this is the tale of the season, right? And at least we're not the Ducks.
We say at least we're not the Ducks, but we are not that far from them.
I don't know too much about that, because like you think about what they're going through with only the one regulation win in the whole year.
What are we, like 4 points away from them?
Points wise, it's hairy. Yes. Points wise, it's very scary. But at the same time, like the way that Columbus is playing, at least they're working hard. They're trying to still win games. They know that they shouldn't be this bad.
Yeah, they should.
And the Ducks is by design.
I would argue the Ducks, I'm not going to say that they're not a rebuilding team. They are a rebuilding team, no doubt about it. But they're also another team that's not supposed to be as bad as they are. Think about what they did this offseason. They went out and they got Ryan Strome. They went out and they got John Klingberg. They got Frank Vetrano. They spent some money this offseason.
Yes,
I don't think they expected to be this bad. But then, Klingberg's falling off a cliff. You have the Drysdale injury.
That Jamie injury.
Vetrano has not been anywhere near what they were hoping he would be.
Stromer's doing okay.
Yeah, Strome's doing what he's supposed to do. So, like, that
and Terry and Zegras are still creating their magic. I don't like what Eakins is doing with McTavish.
This is another coach, like, right there.
It's like, right? Exactly, right?
It doesn't feel like the same damn situation.
With Sillinger and Larson?
A little bit. Where you're looking at, you're just in terms of, like, head coach. You don't know much. Like, how many people were thrilled for Dallas Eakins getting that Anaheim job? Like, how many Ducks fans were like, this is a great hire? He had the absolute failure in Edmonton. and he comes back, and it doesn't really look that much different. I know the team's not great,
Mhm.
but I compare it to Larsen in that not a lot of people were that excited for Brad Larsen to get this job. And I think those people have been proven correct over time.
Yes.
And right now you're looking at two very similar teams in that one of your future defensemen, which is also current for the Blue Jackets in Werenski, whereas theirs is Drysdale,
Mhm.
out for long term. Okay.
Yes.
The rest of the defense stinks outside of maybe one or two guys.
I think
You've got
Boquist is appearing at practices again, which is a good sign.
we'll see how he does. I'm excited to see him back in, but you've got an overpaid goalie who isn't giving you stops,
Yes.
who you're not sure what you're going to be able to do with soon.
Right.
And you spent quite a bit of money in this offseason, and you reek. They're closer than you think.
It's very strange parallel.
Yeah.
It's because again,
ours isn't quite as bad.
No, because again, ours is on accident. Ours isn't by design like this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like
neither team were expected to make the playoffs, but we were not supposed to be this bad. This is on accident, 1,000%, and that makes it worse.
So let's talk Brad really quickly.
Snapped.
We know that yes.
Snapped.
Leisha snapped. His deployment sucks.
Yes.
I mean, his defensive deployment, it's no longer an excuse because Gavi and Bjork are doing their thing. I still think Peak should be getting
the Peak hasn't been great.
I still think he should be getting those second line minutes over
Good Branson.
Yeah,
you're goddamn right. He should. Absolutely. But again, your general manager paid him to be a top 4 defenseman.
Right.
So this is where you're at right now.
I'm just here. I'm double checking a couple of things because they did not change the lineup ahead of today against Boston. So it's Bernie, this poor kid playing second line minutes, just thrown right into the fire. And I will say Bernie looked good in Tampa. He had that really one awesome rush chance.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're playing Tim Bernie with Eric Branson.
You're setting him up to fail.
Play him with Andrew Peak.
Play him with Peak and see what they can do together.
And I know that it's not like, you want Christensen to be another one of those guys.
Yeah.
But when you have Eric Branson, you don't have options.
Yeah.
For these young kids.
It's amazing to me that they're doing this to Andrew Peak when they literally were playing him on the top pair almost every game last year.
Yes.
Like is it just
I don't know what you see in Andrew Peak if you're going to do this.
Why'd you give him the extension if this is what he is? If this is how you view him? Is it just we're only going to put him on the top pair if Werenski's in the lineup? But if he's not, we're going to relegate him to the third pair and give him no significant responsibilities in games?
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
What was the big change supposed to be going from John Tortorella to Brad Larsen?
You're supposed to play north-south. You're going to play more up-tempo offense. And your game is going to... You know what? I was talking about this with my buddy Matt. Do you know what the Blue Jackets should be looking like right now? The Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
Like the Sabres are below 500 right now, but they're playing so much off the rush.
Out of their minds.
They're creating chances like crazy. Like that's kind of what we looked like at times last year. Not as good, but that was the idea.
Tage is unstoppable right now.
And in theory, like that's what you were going to hope that you were going to be able to do with guys like Line A and now Gaudreau and Boone Jenner and Yegor Chinikov and Ken
Jake
Johnson.
before he got hurt.
Jake before he got hurt. Jack Roslovic specifically was a guy who loves to play off the rush. That's someone who should be. He would thrive in Buffalo.
He would.
Roslovic would 1,000% thrive.
Dude, a top two of Thompson and Rosie in Buffalo.
I don't know, man. They got Dylan Cousins. They got Dylan Cousins.
Yeah, Dylan too.
So like, but to get back to the Blue Jackets here, like that was the idea.
Yes.
You're not doing any of it.
No, Brad is playing like Brad's deploying these guys so much more like John used to.
And the defense isn't good enough for that.
No.
The goaltending's not good enough for that. So you're playing John Tortorella hockey without John Tortorella, defense. And you're getting horrific results.
It's not good, man. It's not good enough at all. And you said that, so like if they fired him now, Pascal Vincent would probably be the interim, right?
Probably. What changes? This is nothing. I don't know a ton about Pascal. I don't either. I need to know. So this isn't just like a, well, you know, like sarcastic. Like this is a legitimate question. What changes if Pascal's your head coach? That's what I need to know.
I really don't know.
Because
I can't answer that.
I don't think either of us can. I don't think most people can answer it. Question is, can Pascal Vincent answer it?
Right.
What do you do if you fire Brad and Pascal Vincent comes in and it's not great, but does decently? Do you keep him then? Do you look for a new coach? Like that provides another question.
Does the offense at least look a little better?
Is he better at defensive and offensive deployments? Utilizing these lines?
Is he better at matchups?
Yes. Is he going to
the matchups is a whole other thing?
Is he going to go back to the John Tortorella blender every chance he gets in the middle of a game? It's close.
The way Brad deploys the matchups is another thing that irks me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I can understand
big issue.
I can understand playing Robinson, Corrali, Olivier against like the Stamkos line, right? Try to wear them down, whatever.
It depends on when you play them.
Yeah, it depends on when you play them.
You played them in the middle of the second period, trying to wear them down, whatever, for a shift or two, fine. I do like that line, and I've told you that.
Yes, and I think it's
loves, and I mean he loves playing that line late in games against other teams' top, and I disagree with that. That is not something you should be doing.
You don't look to Sean Corrali for a late goal.
No,
he can do it. You just don't rely on him for that.
No, not at all. And
that's when you need your Patrick Laine. That's when you need your Johnny Gaudreau. That's when you need your stars out there that can put a puck in the net with no effort.
When you're up by a goal and you need an empty net, or you're just trying to shut things down defensively, you can rely on your veterans who are more talented to lock it in, to park the bus, right? Yes. Like, you know, I like Corrali and you know, there's elements to games for Robinson and Olivier that I do like.
Yes.
I don't want them out there in the last minute 30 of a game that you're leading by a goal or two to try and lock things down. And it's a staple.
Well, because Brad is like, well, it worked for us a month ago. It should still work now.
It worked for us against Montreal. You know, we got that empty netter, and it's like,
it worked for us against Florida the first time. Why not? Like, Corrali led in ice time that game. You told me that.
Yes. And I like Corrali, and I like these guys. They should not be leading in ice time. It's your fourth line. That's the line that should be playing 11 minutes, Jake.
The kids should at least be getting 13.
13, 14, 15, if they're playing as well as you say they are.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Jake, and this is where we'll shift to management now, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I addressed this last time with the goaltending.
With
We
the
don't need to go over
goalies,
that again,
no.
right?
Well, okay, go rapid fire with that.
Rapid fire. He has drafted 5 goalies in the 9 drafts that he has been a part of. He was not the guy who got you Bobrovsky, okay?
Mhm.
So let's think about what he has done rapid fire, okay? He
Yes,
drafted
yes.
Elvis, okay? Looked like a good pick at the time, but then he gave him an extension far too soon. It's blown up in their face. They drafted
Mhm.
Peter Tomey in the 6th round.
ECHL guy. Yes.
Okay. Then they drafted Tarasov. Looks pretty good right now, but we have to see. Small sample size.
Mm-hmm.
Vane Vivalainen, out of league.
Overseas goalie.
Sergei Ivanov. We'll see. He's a 5th round pick. You're not going to see him for another 3 or 4 years. So really, he has drafted 4 goalies in the last in his first 8 drafts, and 2 of them are no longer with your organization. One of them is
struggling hard,
hot mess, and the other is your best goalie, which is nice, but also terrifying
because it's not even 10 games yet.
Yes. So that's
for
your
his
situation with your goaltending.
For not the season, for his career.
Yes.
This kid has not played 10 games.
Let's think about some of the other moves that he has made, okay?
Yes.
So he didn't get you Bobrovsky, but he lost you Curtis McElhinney.
Oh, Mac.
Which, again, at the time, I wasn't too upset with because McElhinney wasn't playing well and he blew that game against the Rangers and that snapped the winning streak. But you bring up Korpisalo, who he also didn't draft, but he's held on to him for a decade. And why? His numbers are what they are, and he's held on to him, and he's not playing well.
2 outlier seasons.
Yes. So you hold on to him forever. Am I going to kill the guy over Anton Forsberg? No, because his development happened way later than with the Columbus Blue Jackets. But that's another guy who is a starting goalie in the NHL that he did not get, who was once a part of this organization.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's that with goaltending.
Yes.
Okay.
Defense. Let's go here.
Defense. He's done well. Drafted Zach Werenski.
Yep.
Okay. He traded for Seth Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He drafted Marcus Nudevar in the 7th round. He drafted Vlad Gavrikov in the 6th round.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He traded for Adam Volkvist, who I like a lot.
He traded for Jake Bean,
which is a negative.
He signs Nick Blankenburg. Awesome.
He signed Nick Blankenburg. I like Nick Blankenburg a lot. Trying to think of maybe some of the other moves that they've made in the past. I'll say this. He inherited David Savard, and Savard was good for us. He kept him around for a long time, and then he was able to trade him for a 1st round pick.
Good asset.
That's good asset management.
Yes.
And that pick was involved in the Seth Jones trade, which allowed you to move up to number 12. Okay.
And that's that got you Matachuk. Oh, no, wait.
That got you Cylinder.
That was Cylinder. Okay.
So you mentioned he drafted Matachuk. He drafted Yurchek.
Mm-hmm.
He drafted Corson Coleman's. Yep. He got you that 1st round pick, the Corson Coleman's pick, through the Foligno trade. Okay. That was a good trade. There's other ones in there that I'm sure. Just Stanislav Svozil is an interesting prospect. Samuel Nazco. Those were both.
Did you know that Svozil is lead? He is like 3rd in the entire Western Hockey League in assists.
I believe it. So
I don't know who's in 2nd, but obviously Bedard leads, and then Svozil's 3rd.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go into drafting since we've talked about some of those prospects and we will need to repeat them. But this year he drafted Jordan Dumais in the 3rd round.
Jordan Dumais is a phenomenal kid. Phenomenal
pick. Love that pick a lot. Luca Del Bel Belouz looks really good. That was a 2nd round pick. I'm excited about him as well. Okay. Kirill Marchenko, 2nd round pick. Looks good right now.
Voronkov is interesting. I've heard reports he could make the jump next year to come over to North America.
I think he will make the jump next year, and he projects kind of like a.
But then again, Akbars is offering like this weird long contract.
Yeah, and we'll see how that goes. But I think he's an interesting player because he's not your prototypical Russian overseas project draft pick. He's 6'4". He's strong on the puck. He goes to the dirty areas. right now we've got Boone Jenner playing in the top 6, and I think that's where he's better suited. I could see him being your bottom 6 Boone Jenner replacement.
Ooh.
So just a little thought there on Voronkov, but
Mhm.
so that's interesting right there. You know, I think he's drafted pretty well. Has he had some misses? Yes.
Yes.
Kirby Reichel wasn't a great pick.
Everybody has misses. The entire 2013 draft was just.
Which, to be fair, like Wenberg gave you some good years.
The first round in the 2013.
Yeah, Wenberg gave you some good years.
Dano looked good at times.
Dano looked good for his 1 year in Columbus, and then he flipped him for Brandon Saad. So, that's good.
The Saad trade, the Panarin trade.
Yeah, the Saad trade, the second Saad trade. We'll see if he makes a third Saad trade. But I like those trades. Those 2 trades you won. You won the initial Saad deal. You won the second Saad deal, and that was outstanding. The Duchesne deal.
Yeah,
you didn't lose that trade. You got a first round victory out of it. He was a big part of that playoff run for you guys. And
10 points in 10 games, right?
The 2 pieces that you traded along with the first round pick to Ottawa are no longer with the organization. They're no longer in North America, as far as I know. So those 2 pieces that were a big part of it didn't pan out for Ottawa. Right. So that's good. And the first round pick that they picked, Lassie Thompson, still hasn't really played much for him.
Not much. I think Lassie should get a chance here soon, hopefully, if DJ doesn't hate his guts.
Yeah. But
like if only DJ and Pierre could just let the fuck go of Nikita Zaitsev.
Well, they've got their new love. Travis Hamonic.
Right, yeah.
So, but I think, generally speaking, trades, drafting, for the most part, free agency, Jarmo's done a good job.
Yes.
He's had his whiffs here. Erica Branson's a major one. Jake Bean's a whiff. Some of these draft picks have been whiffs, like Gabriel Carlson, Kirby Reichel, Sonny Milano.
Poor Sonny. I feel bad because he would actually. I feel like he would fit with this current group pretty well.
He would, but they gave up on him, which at the time made sense. I'm not going to criticize him for giving up on him. It's just it was a whiff. It was a whiff.
Going off the board to get Chinnikov the way he did
looks like a good move right now
so far.
Kent Johnson, Cole Cylinder were great picks.
Yes.
Okay. I think we've covered drafting. Free agency, he got you Johnny Gaudreau.
Johnny freaking Gaudreau. That's I know that's like the high, like that's the leadoff. That's the highlight.
But he's had some other good ones. Just to name a couple. So I know it didn't work out, but Nathan Horton, that was big for us to be able to get a player like that at the time.
That dude. Yeah.
It didn't work out. It was both a success and a whiff at the same time, if that makes sense, in my opinion.
I know you're talking free agency. I do want to just revisit a couple of trades really quick.
Yes.
Because they're obvious ones.
Dubois.
One's more obvious than the other. The Dubois for Line and Rosie.
Yes.
Is the obvious one.
Yes.
And then the one that he kind of whiffed on, Clarkson.
Yeah, that one was a little bit of a whiff, but at the same time, it didn't kill. Which one are you referring to? Just getting him initially, or
getting Clarkson?
See, the one that I think with Clarkson that you whiffed on was when you traded his contract to Vegas
to lose Carlson.
Yes, and again, not saying you had a 40-goal guy on your hands and you just let him go.
We didn't know
he wasn't that guy in Columbus, but still a bad look.
Yes.
So, but to free agency, okay, you got Johnny. That was big.
Yes.
Do we want to blame him for losing Panarin or Bobrovsky? I don't want to. Those guys told you what they were going to do, and you held on to them for a reason. So that's not a failure in my mind. Okay?
No.
But
Duchesne too. Duchesne too, because we knew that. Yeah, we knew Dutchy was more or less a rental.
But the other big one that for free agency that I think has worked out, specifically his first year in Columbus and this year too, Gus Nyquist. Yeah,
because Gus was one of those guys that was passionate about being here.
You got him in the midst of losing Panarin and Bobrovsky and Duchesne. And, I know he missed a year because he had hurt. Yes. But when he's been on the ice, he's been effective. He's not great defensively. He's never been great defensively, but he's good offensively. He plays off the rush well. He's fast,
Shorthanded king.
good playmaker. Yeah. Not great at 5-on-5 defensively, but he's a shorthanded king, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
it's
that's
kind of
Jarmo.
that's Jarmo. Okay.
Now, and again, that's him as the general manager, as the business guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a person, we love him to death.
Yes.
You addressed that he's that like charming, dry.
He is
right.
Yes.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, so stoic, so dry all the time, but like in the most charming way imaginable. Right.
Just
like
because because the behind the battle where he's just like smug after signing,
he's got like a very, very, very slight smirk on his face.
Yeah. He's like, we got our guy.
Like...
You can barely see it. Like, yeah.
It's
so
one
good.
of the best photos of all time.
So good. So good.
So here's what I'll say about Jarmo, just to wrap this up.
And let me say this. His contract, because I looked this up because I was curious the other day.
Mm.
It goes through 24-25.
So the end of 25, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think you give him the rest of the contract.
Yeah.
To see what he can do. Because here's my 2 complaints with Jarmo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I said he has never been able to find you a goaltender himself.
At least a replacement for Bob.
Yes. We'll see how this goes with Tara. That could change my opinion. And we'll see what he does with Elvis soon.
And Corpy.
Here's my other one. Okay.
Because it's such a logjam with those 3.
He has struggled to find you a coach.
Yeah.
Outside of Torts. Because when he first came in, they had removed the interim tag already from Todd Richards.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say for the most part, Todd Richards was a success in Columbus because he got you back to the playoffs. He won you a couple playoff games.
Yep.
That was not his fight. That was not his hire. Okay. That was not his find. So he inherited Todd Richards, and Todd Richards gives you a good 12-13 season. You make the playoffs in 13-14. 14-15, you have a bunch of injuries. 15-16, you get out to the poor start. He gets fired.
Yes.
He got you Torts, and he deserves a ton of credit for that.
Oh, absolutely. 200%. Because Torts
but he hasn't been able to replace Torts.
No. Torts instilled the work ethic that this team...
Yes.
Like the philosophy of work ethic that this team absolutely still needs to rally around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brad just hasn't kept that fire going under their butts.
And that was like it was.
Is that not accurate?
It's a fair statement, because the one thing that we said about Brad that we were hopeful about was he is going to maintain this ideology / commitment to hard work, discipline, the Torts mentality of the team with a new look, systematically, tempo, etc. It was supposed to be a north-south hockey team who plays with tons of speed and skill, but still kept some of those Torts elements. And he hasn't done that.
No.
He hasn't done that at all. And more than anything, to me, that's the biggest failing here with him.
Yeah.
And this is like, people ask the question, what are you going to do? Replace him. If you replace him in the offseason, realistically, who can you get? Well, you have to see who gets fired.
Yep.
And who's available. My question is, the McConnells have shown they're willing to spend money.
Yeah.
They let Jarmo not only give Johnny Gaudreau that contract, they let him give a 4x4 to Eric Branson.
Yes.
They let him give a 4-year, $8.7 million contract to Patrick Laine. They've shown they're willing to let him spend.
Yeah, and
my question is now,
for a small market team, being able to spend like this is It's nice.
It's a good thing. So now, can you let him spend money on a coach?
Yeah.
Because as important as it is to get a guy like a Johnny Gaudreau or a Patrick Laine,
A coach doesn't count under your salary cap, right?
so this is just
So it's like,
so shell over the money, because I'm not gonna lie, Larsen felt like a cheap hire.
yeah.
And that was
He,
part of the complaints for people when they first brought him in.
well, it was a cheap hire because he had already been here for so long, and he was just like, it's a weird. I don't want to say it's a Sheldon Keefe argument.
It's not. They have all the money in the world. They brought Sheldon Keefe up because they thought he could fix things.
It's just, it feels lazy to me.
It did. Yeah. We gave him a chance. We did. That's one thing I'll say. I can honestly say I gave Brad Larsen a chance.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that you did too.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work. And it needs to end. And whether it's now or they're just waiting to the end of the season to do it, that's their decision. Because this decision will affect your draft pick. I understand that it does play a factor. They're not going to say it publicly. It plays a factor.
Yes, it does.
You got Connor Bedard and Adam Fantilli coming up in this draft.
And
it plays a factor.
Jaeger and Matvei Michkov, and this whole class is bananas.
Leo Carlson. This plays a huge factor. So I get it. I'm not going to be too critical on that.
Right.
But this offseason, whatever decision they make for the next head coach, for Jarmo, for JD, and for the McConnells.
Now let's talk.
You goddamn better get it right.
I asked you this last episode and we didn't really talk about it. Seriously, how much blame does Davidson get in this?
I think equally to Jarmo.
JD 00 is, yeah.
And I'll stand on that hill. I'll die on that hill. JD and Jarmo work hand in hand. So when someone asks that question, like you just did, it's equal. He deserves just as much criticism as Jarmo does, and as much blame as Jarmo does, because he's the president of hockey operations, right?
Yes.
So he is the one who is also approving.
He's okaying these decisions. Yes.
Yes. Of making Brad Larsen your head coach, of giving Erica Branson a 4x4. Those things he is a part of. Don't get me wrong. I like these guys, but we're not going to give these guys a pass.
They're great.
Yes, we're not going to give these guys a pass because they're nice and they're funny and they've got great personalities and they're charismatic. We're not.
No.
The team stinks.
Do your jobs,
They
guys.
suck. So, what are you going to do about it?
Do your jobs, guys. I know that's hard for us to say, but at the same time, it's like, what else is yeah.
Now, I'm just looking at the standings here. Anaheim has played 2 more games than you.
Okay.
But we're only 3 points up on them.
With 2 games.
You lose 2 more games. You're at the same amount.
You're right there.
You're worst team in the league is Chicago. Which it was nice having their pick last year. Could you imagine if we had their pick?
If we had it this year?
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been fun.
Yeah. But yeah, JD, Jarmo. Again, I don't know what it is. I can do research later on what it is with presidents, because I know they're probably different. Maybe they're just hired until they're fired. I don't know. But
let me give you a quick rundown of teams who are better than you right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have 22 points on the season. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
The Coyotes.
Yeah.
The Sharks.
Michelli for Calder, right?
The Coyotes, the Sharks, the Flyers, the Canadiens. All better than you this season.
Canadians are a bit more of a surprise, though.
Canadians are surprised for sure. They're 30 points in 30 games. They've been playing pretty well at times. But they picked first in last year's draft. Who picked second? Well, that was the New Jersey Devils, who are leading the division, so I'm not going to crap on them there because they're one of the best teams in hockey.
Yeah.
Who picked third? It was Arizona, so they're ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, 1 and 3 are ahead of you.
Flyers picked fifth.
They're ahead of you. Who picked fourth? Oh, the Seattle Kraken, who are in a playoff spot right now.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's really bad.
It's tough.
And it's not getting any better.
It's really tough. And I mean, thank God Johnny says the right things. Because, yeah.
Here's the thing. And I said, oh, if you lose your next 2 games, you'll be only 3 points ahead of Anaheim with the same amount of games played.
Mm-hmm.
Realistic. Your next 2 games are at Boston today and then at home against the Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Dallas is having themselves a time this year.
It's just Boston. Like, good Lord. And then you finally get a little bit of a break because you've got your next 5 games after that are Flyers, Hawks, Sabres, Islanders, Hawks again. But
just don't allow 9 against Buffalo and I'll be happy. Don't do that again.
This is where it's kind of funny because obviously the players are going to go out there and they want to win, but
yeah,
at what point when you play the Hawks are you like, wouldn't be the worst thing if they beat us? It got some points to go up in the standings.
Right.
But this is what's frustrating because this is not the conversation we're supposed to be having right now.
No, we should be talking about at least being competitive for a spot.
Like right now, looking at the standings, okay, who should we be most comparable to? I go back to it, the Sabres. The Sabres are 14-2. Mm-hmm. That is kind of around where I thought the Blue Jackets would be at this point before the season began. 30 games in, Jay, what is their record going to be? Something like 14-2. I would have been thrilled with that.
Yep.
But no.
Be a 500, a little bit above 500.
No, instead they're 10-17-2, and one of their losses, they gave up 9 goals at home, including 5 of them to one player.
It's disgusting.
Another one of their losses is a 7-1 loss in New Jersey, a game I just happened to be at.
Yeah, you poor motherfucker. I feel so bad for you.
Oh,
I know your girlfriend had sympathies too. It's just
and which made it even worse.
I know.
Far worse.
I know.
Way so much worse.
I know.
I feel bad for you. Don't say that. I'm gonna cry.
But yeah, this is the dialogue that we need to have as a fan base.
Yes. And I hate that we're having it, but here we are.
So we're gonna give Jarmo till the end of this contract. At least that's what you think you want to do.
That's what you should do because you need to give him time to be able to hire a new coach and let him figure out the goaltending situation. I think 3 years is enough. The rest.
You think he can right the ship? Okay.
It's enough time to at least have an idea of whether or not he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to give him some time to see if the next coach is the guy, see if Tarasov's the real deal, or if there's any other goalie he gets, if they're the real deal. Like, I think it's more than enough time, but around 2024, 2025, you should have an idea of this, if this guy's your general manager or not. Right. And if the answer is no, he still did a pretty good job. He lasted for a long time. But if you have to make a move to make this team better, you do it. Yeah. You do it. You can't afford to screw around here. You got 7 years of Johnny Gaudreau. One of them's going to go right down the toilet.
You got 4 years of Patrick Laine. And
yes. So now you got 6 years of Johnny Gaudreau and 3 more years of Patrick Laine. What are you going to do with them? Figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, 2 more things to wrap this up. I'm sorry. Wow, my brain is wow. I told you I had a night last night.
One
goal.
One goal.
It's one goal.
That'll wrap that segment up. It's just one.
One goal was the Blackhawks slogan like a couple of years ago.
I remember that because my high school kind of ripped that off for when they were like trying to win their title in 2015. They fell just short in the championship game, but I remember we had these
Oh.
shirts that said 1 goal, and my buddy sent me a Snapchat of one of the players wearing it, and he just put his stats for the season.
Oh.
1 goal.
All right. Yeah. So, we got to continue on with whatever happens with our guys, right? At this point.
Right, but there's still some other cool things that are happening in
There's
the league.
positivity still with Johnny, with the kids, with Patty.
There's positivity still with other teams in the league.
Yeah.
And other guys in the league.
Like Trevor Moore.
Yes. Thousand Oaks native Trevor Moore.
The Kings signed their local guy.
Yep.
5 years, $21 million.
I love this deal. 4.2 average annual value. I love it. It's a really good deal.
Especially for what he's turned into.
Yes, he was bottom 6 guy.
He was mostly
maybe a little bit of energy.
And he had a couple of times on the second line in Toronto.
Yeah, but he didn't really look like he was going to turn into much of anything. But he goes to the Kings, and I think it was the Jack Campbell deal, right?
Yes, that was the Campbell and Cliffy deal.
Yeah. And interesting how that deal kind of worked out for both sides.
Yeah.
Where Toronto got a goalie for 2 years, and the Kings get a guy for the long term who's really turned into an excellent middle 6 option for them. His play driving's gotten better. His defense has gotten better. He's playing well off the rush and in the zone. The only thing that's a little bit of a downside for him is his finishing isn't great. But if that's something that improves, then it's going to be a really good deal.
He's developed a lot of chemistry with Phil Deneau right off the bat.
Yeah.
And he plays well with Kepi at points. If he's with Kepi, like
he's flexible. There's a lot of different places in the lineup that they can put him that he's effective.
As a top 9 forward. You could put him literally,
Like he's a little bit of a Swiss Army knife for them, and I really like his game. I like what he's turned into. I love this deal for LA. It's a really good deal.
Oh yeah, and again, the local guy factor is always fun.
Oh, of course, we know that very well. But I think it's even more special for a warmer climate market like Los Angeles.
Yeah,
because how many great hockey players are coming from LA, right?
The Jason Robertson.
Was he LA?
Well, because him and Nick both grew up in California, I think.
I actually wasn't aware of that, but
and then
the answer's not a ton.
And then Austin was born in California, raised in Arizona.
Yeah. Let me look this up. Hockey players born in LA. Let's see if anything comes up. Yeah, not really much of anything.
Not too much, no.
The top just guys who are born in California. So Matthews is 1, but he's really more Arizona. Number 2, Jason Zucker.
Zuck, huh?
Yeah. Huh. Number 4, Brooks Orpik.
Wow.
So
that takes me back.
5 is Matt Nieto. 6 is Jason Robertson. 7 is Trevor Moore.
Nieto's yeah.
So not a lot of big time names on this, but it's starting to, you're starting to get more and more with obviously guys like, Jason Robertson, Trevor Moore. So that's interesting. Cam York too is another one, but let me see where.
Flyers kid, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He was. I think he played at Michigan. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, Cali is definitely it's nice to see that this is starting to grow more like local players in a market like that. And I think obviously Wayne had so much to do with that.
Yeah, he did. Because you think about the Gretzky trade to the Kings and what that did for hockey as a market in California. Not just with not just with LA and the Kings, but
when you bring in the Ducks,
you bring in the Ducks and the Sharks and whatnot, that's big.
Yeah.
So it's the Great One had such a big impact on California, and you are correct. Jason Robertson was born in Arcadia, which is about 13 miles away from downtown LA.
There you go.
So
I'm frozen.
Yeah.
Is my audio okay? I'm
Yeah,
back.
you're
I'm
back.
back. I'm
You're
back.
back. No, I heard you. You're frozen, but we're back.
Okay,
now.
cool. At least
Anyway,
my audio worked. Um,
so
yeah,
anyway, to get back to the point for Trevor Moore, great contract. Cool that he's a local kid. Good for LA. I like this deal a lot.
perfect. Yeah, and then we got to end on the biggest story. On the biggest story,
Mm-hmm.
just Ovi keeps climbing.
Mm-hmm.
Ovi keeps climbing. He's at 800.
Yeah, and to
And he
connect this to the title, he is only 97 goals away from being one.
he only needs one to tie
Yep.
Gordie Howe.
Yep. And if he does, he'll be two. He needs two to be in sole possession of two.
Oh my God, this guy. He is the best goal scorer of all time.
How about that stat I sent you? 400, 500.
So, okay, the stat that you sent me, I think is a little misleading. Because from
really?
when I posted it, I got flack for that.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's a little misleading because I think 400 or 500, maybe 5 or 6, both weren't off hat tricks. As far as I was criticized for that. So 700 was a hat trick goal.
The person who posted it said that this was like something from one of the broadcasts.
Was it a broadcast statistic?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
So I don't know. So maybe the broadcast got it wrong, but 700 and 800 both came on hat tricks, which is crazy.
Just friggin'. This man is 38 years old, 37, 38 years old.
He's not even slowing down even a little bit.
No. Fuck it. Do you think he gets 900?
Jake,
because there's no way he's going to be satisfied with just 895.
Jake, I don't think 900 is the question.
Is it 1,000?
I think there's a chance he could get to 1,000.
You think he could get
I'm
to
not
1,000?
kidding. I'm not kidding. Like, I think it's not out of the realm of possible. That's the question. It's not about can he break the record? Can he get to 900? It's not even can he get to 950. To me, it's
weird because
does he have enough to get to 1,000? I think he does.
It's so weird because we can now officially talk about breaking Wayne's record as like
as
a
an
weird
inevitability.
Formality. Like,
yes. Yeah. And I've said it for years, and I'm glad that I've been on this train. I've driven this train, and I will never get off this train. I've always been 1,000% under the belief that he was going to break the record. And now it's not about is he going to break, it's how much is he going to shatter it by?
Yeah.
And you know what the sad thing is if he doesn't reach 1,000, all I will think about is if 0506 wasn't canceled, if 12-13 wasn't a half season, if he didn't have COVID, he would be way past 1,000.
He would already be there.
Yeah, he would. He honestly might.
He would
God.
It's insane.
I'm telling you.
He's up. God, he's only got Gordy and Gretzky in front of him right now, and he could be by the end of what are they playing tonight? Because if they're playing, that's right, because they're playing Toronto. He could
against the Leafs
and against Sammy. Sammy's in net. Samsonov's in net.
Oh man, that's
no.
A tough one. That's a tough one.
Oh boy. But yeah, Ovechkin 800 goals. Only the third player in league history to do it. And it's amazing that we grew up getting to watch this.
Yeah, the next fun question is going to be, like, for the longest time, it was, can anybody break Gretzky's goal record?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to have the question of, can anybody break Ovi's goal record?
Austin can try, but I don't know.
Austin's not going to be able to do it, in my opinion.
I mean, Connor
He's really good. It's just like, you think about what Ovi did when he was 18 years old and the
exactly
going out when he first came in. It's like, oh my God, like,
The fact that he had 2 60-goal
You
seasons
got to
within
come
the span
in
of,
to
like,
the
yeah.
NHL. If you want to break the goal record, you have to come in and immediately be a 50-goal guy.
Yes.
And you have to do it for like 20 years.
And we know just how difficult this is because we've talked about it with Patty. We've talked about it with just how hard it is to hit just 40 in a season, right?
Think about how hard it is, Jake. If you want to reach 1,000 goals in this league, that is the equivalent of 20 50-goal seasons.
Yeah. And the average career is like,
so you have to play about 20 years and average 50 goals a year.
And the average career is what, 15?
For like great players?
For great players, it's like 14, 15
great, yeah,
years.
probably 14, 15, 16, like anywhere in that range. Like, I hope he plays until he's like 42, 43. I just want to see.
I hope he plays. You know what? I kind of want to see him try to creep up on Jágr.
Jágr, do it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Play until you're at least
What
50.
about his game indicates that he can't do that?
What about his game indicates that he can't play until he passes Gordy's age when he got done?
His game has never really been predicated on...
Because didn't Gordy retire officially at 53?
I thought it was 51, but he was in the WHA at that point.
Yeah.
So...
But then he came back for like one more season with Hartford in the NHL. And
oh, were they in the NHL at that point? I thought they were still in the WHA.
79-80 was their first season in the NHL.
Interesting. God. Some of these stats on Gordy are freaking
I know.
And this dude's passing them.
I know.
Oh my God, it's insane. It's absurd.
Did you see the thing with his kid?
Ovi?
Yeah.
No.
With his son, just like... for one, he updates the goals on the scoreboard, which was the cutest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And then he asked him, he was like, why did you score 3 goals to do that? And he was like, that Daddy loves his job. It's just like, that's Daddy's job.
That's awesome.
That's how you do it. It's just, I don't know. I love this guy. How can you not love this guy? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got his cup. He wants another. We know he wants another.
And I think there was a report they're not going to rebuild for as long as he's...
No. Ted Leonsis already came out and said there's no way they're going to rebuild as long as he's here.
Yeah. Which is I know that it's like, in terms of trying to win a Stanley Cup, it's probably not the smart thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. You've won your Stanley Cup. You have an all-time great player. This is what you do, especially when he's in pursuit of a goal, like a history chase like this.
Yes.
This is what you do. They're doing right by Ovi, and I'm thankful that they are.
Yes. Alexander Ovechkin, man. We're never going to see this again.
No.
And it's awesome that we're living it.
Uh-huh.
This guy came into the league when my first brother was born. He just turned 18 like last month. I'm exhausted. Are you exhausted again? Like, I feel like this is a really tiring episode for reasons, but
yeah. I'd probably take a nap.
Yeah, me too. And I'm gonna start plugging this. Mm-hmm. The Hockey Pod Network YouTube channel. We do live watch-alongs. Mm-hmm. And on the 29th, so a couple of days before New Year's Eve, Columbus, New York Islanders. Come hang out with me and watch a game.
So, 2 things. 1, nice plug for that. I'm excited for you. That'll be fun.
Thank you.
2,
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
If you're doing that, why not use DraftKings and bet on the game?
Yeah.
Bet on the game while you're watching the game with Jake and try and see if, who knows, maybe one of the bets will be, hey, will the Blue Jackets score more than 1? That won't be one of the bets, but still do it.
We'll see y'all on Tuesday, Wednesday.
So yeah, we'll record on Tuesday, and then we'll obviously have the week off because of the holiday.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys around.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Garinger, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.